Welcome to Modeling Time with me, Banna. And this is the last episode in my adventure in weathering. So I'll get the camera set up and I'll go over what needs to be done with the trucks and the couplers. And even though I said that the couplers are already done, I'm still going to do another set just to show, the process I go through to finish off my couplers. So let me go get set up and we'll get this last part done. Alright, well, we're on the last leg of this model. And even though it's a test model and it doesn't have the details on it that would make it turn it into a somewhat of a top-end model, such as a cut lever and maybe the train line hose, I still think I'm going to keep it for my layout. I think it looks pretty good. So let's move on. I made the command decision. Well, because I'm going to do that, I made the command decision to use the tangent 100-ton trucks. If you want your model to look good, use the good stuff. So I'm going to use those, and let's get all this ready to be painted. So the first thing I do on the couplers is I cut the trip pin off, and then I grind down the pin on both the top and the bottom. And you might say, how do you know what's the top and the bottom? Well, the top has this bridge on it, and the bottom is smooth all the way across. I don't know what to call it, a bridge, a channel. It's not a channel, but it has this rectangular support on the top. Let me zoom in on that. Let me get this in focus. So as you see that, you see this bridge here? Let me get my tweezers out here. Right here, you can see it drops down on either side, and on this side it's flat all the way around, all the way across the bottom. So that's the bottom, that's the top. So the next thing I do is I just come in and I take the spring out. Put it in my spring bucket over here. Take the spring out, put it in the spring bucket. Okay, those are ready for grit blasting. So put those aside. Next thing is to get the trucks ready. Let me zoom out a little bit. So the trucks, we need to take the wheel sets out. Need to take these wheel caps off and stick them down onto some double-sided tape. Let me just use some tweezers. The reason I'm doing this is because they're going to get grit blasted for paint. Nothing looks terrible like shiny Delrin. There's a little sprue nub right there I got to cut off, and the rest of these look pretty good. Oh, there's another one. So I'll go, before I grit blast them, I'll trim those sprue nubs off. Next thing I need to do is to protect the bearing surface on the trucks and the wheels. So I use this Humbrol Mascal. I don't shake it, I just use it straight out of the bottle like that. And on the backs, let me zoom in. On the backs, I put a blob of blob of this stuff right in where the bearing surface is. Alright, we'll let that side dry, set it up right. There we go. Do the other one. Alright, once those dry, I'll do the other side. There we go. Now, I'm going to do the bearing surface on the wheels. There's one wheel. Two. Three. There's some plastic, shredded plastic on these wheels. Gotta get it off. Alright, so the wheels are all done. I just have to let that dry. And in the meantime, I'll put them, let's see, is this the 100-ton truck? Or 36-inch truck? Yeah. So in the meantime, we close this up. I'll put them into their wheel masks. Okay, so those are ready for grit blasting. A little bit of plastic right here. Oh, got some goo on the wheel face there. Let me put just a little bit more on some of these. Make sure they're covered up really good. You have to be careful not to touch them, otherwise the goo will tear off the masking that you just put on. Like that. Oh, now I gotta let that dry and peel all the stuff off. Oh, it went all over the place on that one. Let me just take that one off and start over again. Gonna let that there we go. I can just start all over again on that one. Alright, those are ready for grit blasting. And these are set up enough where I can do the other side. Get this sticky stuff off of here. Alright, that truck just needs to dry and it'll be ready for grit blasting, and this one will also be ready. Alright. I just have to let those dry and then I can go grit blast them. Clean off the toothpick here. Alright, get all this stuff up. Now, when I did made the decision to put the tangent trucks on there, the hole that the pin goes through is much bigger than the hole on the Walters truck. So I had to wrap the pin in 10 thousandths by 40 thousandths styrene strip. That way now the truck sits nice and it swivels good, and it has very, very little play. So that's good. So let that truck dry, and right now that's about it. These, I'm going to go clean the little sprue nubs off of these, off the roller bearing caps. Once these this masking fluid dries to a dark purple, then I can go grit blast them, paint these trucks black, paint the wheels and the couplers dark brown or flat brown, and paint the roller bearing caps black. Alright, so here's what everything looks like after it's been grit blasted. Zoom in a little bit there. There we go. So you can see it's nice and dull metal look there. We got the bearing caps grit blasted, got the couplers grit blasted, and the knuckle works just fine. And the trucks. So now I need to paint the trucks black, the bearing caps black, and the couplers brown, and the wheels brown. So they will get, the brown I use is XF10 flat brown from Tamiya, and naturally the black that I use is where is it at? There we go, X18 semi-gloss black. So let me go ahead and get these painted. Alright, so I've got the wheels painted brown, axles and backs of the wheels painted brown. I've got the couplers painted brown, and I got the trucks painted black, and the bearing caps painted black. So I gotta let these dry. I'll let them dry overnight, and tomorrow this car will be done. We'll get these all weathered and get it assembled, and the car will be 100% done. Alright, so it's time to get the trucks, wheels and couplers weathered. So I'm going to start with the truck side frames and the roller bearings first. I've got all my pigments out here. It's going to be done very much the exact same way that the underframe was done, because the trucks are going to be very similar in color to your underframe because they reside in the same areas and they get hit with the same elements. Excuse me. The side frames might have a little bit more of a rusty tinge to them because they're exposed more on the sides and to moisture and such, and of course underneath you'll get exposed a lot to moisture, but you don't see any of this when you're operating your model. This is just to cover anything, you know, to help blend all the colors together and stuff such. But for the trucks, you want to give a little bit more attention to it. So I don't know if I said it in the last video, I can't remember, this is the next day, but I had to put some styrene around the bolsters because the tangent holes are much larger than what the Walther's pin is. So I used some 10 by 40 styrene strip and wrapped it around the bolsters, and everything works fine now. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a layer of pigment fixer on here. So let me get everything set up, we'll come back and we'll start weathering. Alright, so I'm all set up, and first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hose down one of these side frames. All I'm going to do is bring it over to the paint booth area and spray it down with pigment fixer. Come over and put some pigments on it. You'll see I have a glove on this hand. It's because I'll be holding this and getting pigment all over it. There you can see it kind of glistening in the pigment fixer. So the first thing I'm going to do, again, I'm going to start with some dark earth. Get the truck coated. I'm going to scrub that in. Go ahead and scrub it around, get all the loose material off of it. Blow any off. And now I'm going to go do a misting over this. Alright, and now I'm going to just start randomly adding other colors, maybe some light or medium earth. And you can mix these colors as well to make a lighter dark earth or a lighter, somewhere in between medium and dark. Go mist it. Add some more, another
kind of a reddish brown. Some more medium earth. Go mist it. Just keep adding layers to it. Alright, you know what? I think I need some of this dark buff. Help bring out some of the details. Alright. I like the way that looks. Okay, now the only thing I want to do is maybe get a little bit of a differentiation in the springs. So I'm going to take a little bit of Trax rust. and help set those springs off a little bit. So I'm going to call that truck side frame done. Now you could, if you wanted to go in and add a little bit of variation to it, maybe a little bit more color inside of these areas. But I am going to finish this off and call it done. So let me go ahead and get this truck side frame done, and I have to do the bearing caps as well, and then I'll go to the wheels and show you how I do the wheels. All right, so I've got the side frames done. And I've got the bearing caps done. And now it's time to do the wheels. So we've got the wheels all painted. Let me move some of the stuff back so I can get it on camera well. And now it's time to do the same thing to the wheels. So let me go wet them down. And we're going to basically use the same colors. Go wet the other side down. And now we'll do the axles and the backs of the wheels. Getting the axles and the wheel backs right now. Now on box cars, you don't really have to do the axles and wheels, backs of the wheels, because you don't see them. On this car, you'll see them at the ends. So you want to do the cars where you will see everything. All right, now it's time to do the clean out all the pigment and start working on color variation. Just knocking off all the loose pigment. Blowing it off, and I'll go put a mist on these. right, now we can add some color variations. Like I really like this Trax rust. When you do the misting, it gives a nice texture look to the finish. Let me add a little bit of light or medium earth. Some more Trax rust. Okay, let me just go give it a light misting and we can call that done. Now you notice I didn't do a whole bunch on the inside. The inside looks good the way it is. I don't need to add a whole bunch to it. It's got a lot of variations to it when I misted it, but the wheel faces I want to do a little bit extra to. All right, I'm really happy with that. I'm gonna go with those wheels. And so we'll call that done. Next up is the couplers. Now I don't need to use these couplers, but I'll show you anyway. So I have this little tool. I don't know, I got it from a place I worked at, my very first drafting job. There was a company that did anodizing, so they had to design all these little clips to hold parts. So I'll do that. I'll wet it down. And I'll just use these rust colors here. I'll do the other one. And we'll get it all pigmented. Now I'll brush them out. Get all the pigment off of them. Bang them on the work surface. Any other pigment get off of them. Make sure I stay on camera here. Now you can see that the knuckle still works good. All right, now I'm going to put these in this holder, and I can just lightly mist them. And then I'm going to come back with some Trax Rust and just dust them a little bit. And lightly mist them again. And that's it. Couplers are all done. Now it's time to put all this together. So let me clean all this up, and then I'll show you what I do to finalize and put it all together. All right, so it's time to put everything together. So let me get this off of here. All right, so I've got the trucks, and remember I put the masking in there, so I just got to take that out. And there, we got that taken out. Now handling them, I don't have any residue on my hands, so the pigments are staying on really well. All right, so now we're going to take the goo off the axle tips. Let's pull these out. Well, first thing what we need to do is clean the wheels. You get all that pigment and stuff on the wheels, so the way I do that is I get my little cup, this thing over here, put some lacquer thinner in it. Let's see, is it this one? Yeah. There we go. Put some lacquer thinner in there. Get out a couple of Q-tips, and we'll just take these let's go right around the tread. There's one. Some more lacquer thinner. And there's, okay, there's one wheel. The one thing you want to make sure you don't do is touch the outside face. Two wheels. There's three wheels. Yeah. No, you're fine.
We don't need to.
No. There was just some people visiting, wanted to make sure they didn't need to go close the garage door if they went for a walk around the neighborhood. There we go. There's four wheels. Now, we're going to take off that. There's one. There's two. There's three. The wheels are rubbing off a little bit, but that's all right. It's because of the axles. I never really brushed the axles off much. And there's four. Okay, now we don't have to worry about the couplers. I've already put the couplers on, but we will go ahead and put the springs back into the couplers. Grab a spring here. The couplers work just fine. There's one. Grab another spring here. All these springs are kind of rolling together there. I got a bunch of springs in there. That one's working just fine. Alright, so the couplers are done. Now I just need to put the roller bearing caps on the trucks, or on the wheels. Sorry about that, everybody. I wasn't ready for everything. Alright, so now we're going to put this a little further up here. There we go. We're going to take the bearing caps off. Oh, we want to turn them upside down. Alright, so we got all that. And next thing we want to do, put a little CA. This is medium CA. We want to put just barely touch the CA with the wheel tip. Put it in the cap. There's one wheel. We'll do the same thing for the other ones. And the last one. All right, so now we can move that out of the way. So next up is to put these into the trucks. Oh, there's a burr in there. There's one here too. Keeps the truck from, or the wheel from snapping in. And what we want to do also is take a little bit of lacquer thinner and clean the dust out of the holes there. This truck has a bunch of burrs on it. We'll go get an X-Acto knife. Okay, let's clean that burr out of there. There we go. All right. Let's snap these in there now. Get this one in there. There we go, they roll pretty good. Put that on the bottom there. Let's do the next one, make sure there's no burrs. Get a little bit of lacquer thinner and clean the faces off. Alright. There's a little burr right there. Another one right there. Okay. Get the wheel on. And get the other wheel on. That rolls pretty good. So there we have the full set. Now I just got to screw them on, and I don't know if these are, I've got some tangent screws, but let me go get those on, or let me go get the tangent screws. Well, I'll just go get them right now. No sense turning everything off just to walk across the room and get the screws. These have a bigger flange to them. There we go. There we go. So that's the car. I'm going to go do a couple of still shots, and I'll put it at the end of this video. Alright folks, well that takes care of weathering this car. Now, if I had anticipated the car was going to turn out the way it did, I'm really excited or really happy the way it turned out. I would have probably put coupler cut levers on it and a train line hose and stuff, but it started out as just a test, but I still think I'm going to keep it as a runner for myself. So anyway, I'll leave you with some still shots so you can get a better look. Maybe the colors will show up better and such. And if you made it all the way through this, I really appreciate it. Thanks for watching.